Hi guys, welcome back. And this time around, I'm bringing you a review for the latest IEM, or well, one of the IEMs that ivipQ has launched recently. ivipQ, known for being a mainly a cable manufacturer, and then basically late last year, early this year, they entered the IEM game with three IEMs, the V11, the V12, and the V13. The V11 was an 8BA, or is an 8BA, all BA IEM. Great tuning, kind of a more warmer type of tonality, more warmer type of sound. The V12, a 2DD plus 6BA. They were probably one of the first to come out with this sort of configuration, something which has now become basically a popular thing to do. Although in their particular case, the 2DDs, instead of being two dynamic drivers being used exclusively for the bass, they had two dynamic drivers coaxially mounted, handling the bass and the mid-bass frequencies. And then the V13, a 2BA 2DD, very much similar to the QES quartet. Anyway, this model here, the iQ-14, is a 3DD IEM. It's part of a few IEMs that they've launched now recently: 1+3, 1+3 plus a bone conduction, or 1+4, 2+4. This particular one, another one which is an all BA affair, but 10 BAs this time around. So they've launched a whole bunch of IEMs. I've received most of them except for the 10BA one, and I've listened to all of them, and I thought that of all the IEMs that I heard of this new wave of ivipQ launches, the one that immediately stood out was this particular model, the iQ-14. And it stood out for several reasons. Anyway, I've got here the iQ-14, so three dynamic drivers, and the other IEMs that I have here are also three, let's call it dynamic drivers, or three variations of three dynamic drivers. The R1 from Artti, a single 8 plus 2 6s. The White Tiger from TRN, a triple coaxially mounted driver, 10.2, an 8, and a planar driver. So this is the only one that kind of moves away slightly from this three dynamic driver configuration that I'm talking about. And here the trio, I could have also had here the KZ Vader, but the trio it was the first one, and that's the one that makes the sense to have to be here. And of course the iQ-14, all of them, much like my previous review, are IEMs that I appreciate for what they are capable of doing, and they have kind of become my go-tos, or my top options when it comes to three dynamic drivers. I've got a few others, or other options of dynamic drivers, of exclusively dynamic drivers, that you might ask why haven't I got here. For example, the Draco from TRI, the Aoshida, the In20. There's a couple of others. But those ones I will review separately, with another dual dynamic driver that has just been released as well recently. But I thought that in this particular case, it just made sense to have three dynamic drivers as kind of being the main feature that all of these IEMs have. As I said, they all have certain particulars. I would say that the two that are perhaps the least stand out in terms of what they've done are the R1 and the trio, and they are the least stand out because they just used three dynamic drivers, and that's that. They've configured them in a way that each one of those drivers will then handle a specific part of the frequency range, and that's that. The two that are the most unusual, much like the Night Elf as well from CVJ, mind you, or like I said, the White Tiger and the iQ-14. The White Tiger, because it has this coaxially mounted triple driver setup, which has been, in my opinion, very smartly done, very smartly done. And all offered in a nice package with a nice shell, a nice cable. Everything is really nice. The only thing that I really pointed out as a negative aspect with such a nice overall presentation was the case that just looks a little bit bland. And the iQ-14 also follows that kind of unusual approach to things, because they have a 10mm beryllium coated driver handling the higher frequencies, and then they've got a coaxial 10 and 6mm. The 10 is a composite and the 6 is a titanium, handling the bass and the mid bass and a part of the mid frequency. So it's actually quite interesting that they've gone another alternative route. Okay. In terms of the overall build, it's a nice resin shell. It fits beautifully, no issues there. The cable that I'm using is an ivipQ cable. It's actually not the cable that this particular IEM brings. I don't have it here. It comes in this case, but it's a black cable. It's an all black cable. I would have honestly preferred, and I think that this particular IEM does deserve a slightly better cable from them, but it's not a deal breaker, honestly. In terms of price, it's around the $75 to $80 value. It's got nice faceplate design, as you can see. I mean, it just looks very nice. In terms of the tips, again, I'm not using these stock tips. I found that the stock tips, although okay, we're not extracting the most out of it. They work the best with wide bores. I'm actually using some NF audio wide bores. It could have been sorry, not NF audio. I'm using here some oh my god, I just had a blank now. I'm using here some Sonic Memory wide bores. I also tried the BGVP wide bores, and they work fine. And the wide bores, they work the best because they just give that little extra amount of space. And cutting out to the chase in terms of the sound. The moment I listened to them, they reminded me of one of my IEMs, which I also consider one of my favorite IEMs in this terms of configuration, which is the Serial, the Penon Serial. The Penon Serial and the Binary Audio Dyna Quattro. Those three plus this one, and to a certain extent as well the R1, because I mentioned that when I reviewed the R1, they all have a very similar sound, and it was straight away for me. The moment I heard that, it was sold. And what does that mean, all of this? Well, it means that it's got a very nicely executed bass. It's not overpowering. It's in the right amount. It has the weight that it needs to have when it's called for. So be it listening to some dysphonic, which is some house music, some chill out house music, or be it listening to Carl Harris Timeline, or be it listening to things like Addiction from Nones Man, or be it again another EDM style that I like listening, which is Carl Harris Jr. The bass is always there in the right amount, in the right weight. It doesn't overpower, it doesn't smother, it doesn't cover up the vocals. The vocals undoubtedly really well executed, really well executed. I was very surprised. Clean, detailed. Male and female vocals are perfect. I would say the male vocals are perhaps the best, the better ones than the female vocals, only because on very slight occasions the female vocals did come a little bit on the edge of becoming too harsh or too intense for me. But I mean, I'm talking about one or two songs, honestly. I'm talking about something like, for example, Brandy. Perhaps even it could have been the recording itself that was making that happen, because otherwise, everything else that I was listening to, I really didn't find anything that I could say, oh no, this is out of bounds or unbearable or anything of the sort. Unconditional, for example, which or Swift Away from Carol Duboc, and Unconditional from Soul Persona, or two other groups that I like listening to in terms of that new kind of wave jazz. Phenomenal. The iQ-14 does the job like it should do. Instruments are come across perfectly. They've got the right timbre, the right tonality. Look, to cut to the chase and not prolong myself here too much, I will say it, without any hesitation. This is like a Penon Serial, like a mini Penon Serial. And on occasions, and I did obviously compare this to the Serial, and on occasions I even reached the point where I forgot which one I actually had in my ears. That's how competent I was finding the iQ-14. And to that extent, I would say that the iQ-14 even does perhaps a better job of emulating the Penon Serial sound than what the Artti R1 does. The Artti R1, you feel that there's a lot of similarities in the sound, unquestionably, but it's easier for you to actually end up picking up or distinguishing, okay, this is the Penon, this is the R1. With the iQ-14, I have to say that I was very impressed. And I've had, this IEM for a month now, so I've had plenty of time to listen to it. I've had plenty of time to say what I'm saying with confidence. I'm not just, putting my finger up my ass and just taking it out and just saying and talking because I feel like saying this. No, it is very much that. Now, is it all just no, obviously not. There are some slight flaws here. One of the flaws, which obviously with these wider board tips I was able to mitigate, that is, yes, with the wider board tips I get a little bit more that sensation of space, of soundstage, which also helps coincidentally with the imaging. With the stock tips I wasn't getting that as much. So, okay, it's a minor flaw, it's not nothing major, okay? The other thing is, I would have liked at times that there was a little bit more detailed retrieval, a little bit extra more, twinklies and sparklies. But again, this is just a minor nitpick. This is not really a fault. Considering that it's all DDs and the way they've been able to integrate all three drivers so nicely and offer a sound which is, in my opinion, musically correct. So timbre and tonality is on point. It's got that nice organic type of sound that you get from something like the Penon Serial, that you get from something like the Dyna Quattro. Obviously, of course, those are more expensive IEMs, and ultimately they do show that extra performance that they offer, and they justify to a certain extent the price. I'm not going to say they don't, but the truth is this. If you want a really nice three dynamic driver IEM, and you are in the market looking for one, and you haven't bought anything, this is definitely a serious IEM to consider. Comparing now the iQ-14 with the three that I have here. Like I said, the sonically it's very similar to the R1. So if you like the R1, then it won't make sense to get this. I'll be very honest, it won't, unless you for some reason don't like the way the shell fits you or something of the sort. This has got a very nice, easy fit. So okay, that could be. But they've got sonically the same type of sound. So I would even maybe say that the R1 might edge out the iQ-14 a little bit in terms of a little bit more incisiveness in the bass at times, the bass a little bit slightly more cleaner, more impactful, okay? But overall, in terms of overall extension, detail retrieval, soundstage, imaging, the technicalities in general are very similar. Timbre and tonality, very equal, although perhaps I will give the iQ-14 a slight edge here and there. Perhaps. They're very similar. Compared then with the White Tiger. The White Tiger does have, because of that planar, that extra amount of twinklies and sparklies that I liked. But it also, you get the feeling that the White Tiger is slightly more colored overall in its sound when compared to the iQ-14. The iQ-14 always sounds a little bit more audiophile correct, let's put it that way. The biggest difference here that will be, I guess, the deciding factor is that this has a very nice accessories package, so I would perhaps try and convince ivipQ to maybe add a nicer cable to the iQ-14. Something that maybe has, detachable terminations, and maybe perhaps also consider, changing the tips around. If they do those two things, I think then it will be it will be a harder choice to be made, yeah, between the two of them, you know. Um, Otherwise, like I said, a little bit more V-shaped, a little bit more colored in the sound, but more detail up top, so better twinklies and sparklies, better detailed retrieval, slightly better imaging. This one, you know, more audiophile correct, more organic in its presentation, timbre and tonality more correct and slightly better here than in the White Tiger as well. And then finally the Trio. And I mean, the Trio, you just can't make an argument against the Trio because we're talking $20, guys. You know, so again, I say, put aside the issues with KZ, put aside the issues that they are the masters of copy paste. Put that aside. The reality is they have, over the last year and a half, 2 years, consistently, even though a lot of those IEMs are just repeated or just copy paste, like I said. I mean, this whole theme now with the Saga and EDX Pro and blah, blah, blah. I've got a review coming out on that. It's basically just always the same IEM. That's it. Okay. But the Trio, you know, you can't fault it. It's $20. It's 3 dynamic drivers. It plays phenomenally well. It's got those tuning switches. Yes, ultimately, when you are comparing the two of them, like I said, with regards to the White Tiger as well, you notice that this is a slightly more polished product. It's more elegant, more you know, it's got that little extra touch. But it's also 3 times the price, almost 4 times the price. So if you got the Trio and you definitely like that sort of configuration of dynamic drivers and you want to make an upgrade, yes, then I definitely would say, you know, the iQ-14 is probably a nice upgrade to do. Although maybe perhaps, you know, save up a little bit more and then go full Monty and get yourself, you know, the binary Dyna Quattro, or maybe even the Serial. But you know, that's I mean, it's I'm being as straightforward and as sincere and honest as I can possibly be. In terms of performance, look, more V-shaped, more colored, yes, but it's got this really nice colored approach to the sound that it makes it very engaging, very satisfying. You know, you like I said, you can't fault it, and it only in extremes, or only if you don't choose maybe the right source, will you see maybe the Trio show its slight little flaws, which is it can become a little bit unpolished up top in terms of the upper mids and treble, but again, never nothing that you can falter as being a major issue, because we are talking $20, okay? And that's it. So guys, look, overall, what can I say about the iQ-14? A really nice IEM, honestly, a really nice IEM. Plays really well, nothing to be said about it. Of this new wave of IEMs that ivipQ has launched, with the exception of the 10BA, which I haven't received, and so I haven't listened to it. With the exception of that one, definitely, in my opinion, the best one out of all of them. Without a question, the best one. You know, and I've listened to the other ones as well, quite a bit. This one is without a doubt the best one. And then it's got, you know, this couple of things which make it unique. The unusual configuration that the drivers have been set up in. Okay, it's got this musical, old school type of sound, which is again associated with all dynamic drivers. And it's got this you know, this very correct timbre and tonality. It makes it very it's a very pleasant sound to listen to. If I have to make a comparison to a single DD so that you guys can understand where maybe this kind of sits along the lines of, the In Awakened Dawn. It's got that sort of vibe of sound. It's a very nice, easy to listen to sound, where, like I said, the focus has been on offering a musical, organic, old school type of sound, without, you know, leaving aside or affecting the technicalities. It's also pretty technical. But if you are going to choose here an IEM, which will probably be the standout technically, it will probably be the White Tiger. And then in terms of overall timbre, tonality, musicality, organic music, you know, I would say the iQ-14 and the R1 are the better ones. And unquestionably, like I said earlier, the value for money king here, I mean, by miles, the Trio. All right, guys, show you the graphs and we'll wrap it up. All right, you take care now. Bye bye.